Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, bushfire-prone community members have voiced concerns over a lack of preparedness for the season ahead. The issue was highlighted in new University of Tasmania research, which has triggered an initiative by the Greater Hobart Councils to better equip their ratepayers.
Looking to avoid a burning inferno just like this. Coming metres away from destroying homes in Dunedin earlier this year.
I was a little bit anxious, but it was a long way away, and I know that the firefighters, they put a lot of effort into actually putting it out straight away. It could have been catastrophic if they hadn't got onto it.
Wendy Andrawatha has lived in the neighbouring suburb and fire-prone area of Mount Nelson for 20 years.
The vegetation was too close to the house, particularly on this side of the house, so it had to go straight away.
She joins hundreds of residents who will now be better supported in their clean-up as a new program targets Hobart, Kingborough, Glenorchy and Clarence Council areas.
We were quite shocked to find that even though people knew that they lived in a bushfire-prone area, they hadn't necessarily developed a bushfire plan and they hadn't necessarily done the work they needed to do around their property.
$1 million investment by the federal government helping employ 3 strategic officers to assist with the effort.
Working directly with the community and having conversations at the local level so that people are really problem solving how they can build their resilience to living in a bushfire-prone area.
Fire crews have already undertaken a number of fuel reduction burns in high-risk areas across the state, with some taking up to 2 days to complete, all in an effort to avoid a life-threatening situation.
It's really important that we get in, do our burning when we're able to, when the season conditions allow us to.
Reiterating the importance of not becoming complacent.
See whether there are areas that embers might be able to enter through, so looking for gaps around window sills, door frames, etc. And maybe having conversations with your neighbours as well.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
The north of the state has been spared the worst of the weather as conditions eased this morning. Grey received a downpour overnight, recording 109 millimetres of rain, with Lake Mackenzie in the northwest recording 103 mils. Road closures were in place this morning in Bicheno due to flooding, while more than 300 residents around Zeehan went without power during the day. The Weather Bureau has issued a minor flood warning for the St Paul's River as well as a moderate warning for the South Esk River. Tasmania's chief psychiatrist has been suspended. Dr Aaron Groves was suspended by the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency this week, meaning he cannot practice. Dr Groves was appointed to the role in 2017 after holding it in other Australian states. It's still unclear why the agency made the decision. Meanwhile, a key figure in the government's Commission of Inquiry has been moved on. Barrister Chris Gunson SC is no longer representing the state after allegedly sending private messages to victim survivor Tiffany Skeggs.
We became aware at around the end of August that there were some issues, and we certainly took appropriate action, which included engaging new counsel.
Kate Mooney SC represented the government in the final inquiry hearings. The Liberals are calling for the federal government to uphold long-standing promises with the budget just weeks away. They warn key commitments could be cut, including funding for one of Tasmania's oldest racetracks.
With the October budget looming, the future of some Tasmanian projects are in question. Key promises remain up in the air, including the Deloraine racetrack upgrade.
The Labor Party needs to take the mean and nasty politics out of this and maintain this commitment which will generate a significant community asset.
We want that money to go to the community. We don't want the government to take it away and say it was a political donation or something along those lines, because it was allocated to us.
The previous government committing to the refurbishment in 2019. The new government having a bet each way on whether it will be honoured.
I back it, of course I do. I think it's a great project, but every every entreaty I've made to the relevant ministers, of course, is met with wait till the October budget.
We are $1 billion in debt as a result of the last government's wasteful spending. And that's why we're having hard discussions and hard decisions about what we're going to fund in this year's budget.
Their reasoning criticised by the Liberals.
Well, it should be guaranteed. It's not a matter of whether it can be. We're not interested in excuses. We're not interested in deflection and blaming somebody else for the problem.
If the funding is secured, Council hopes to reinvigorate the historical racecourse. Upgrades include a second oval for the Deloraine Football Club, as well as walking tracks.
It's unlimited what we could do here. We just need to get some dollars.
Meanwhile, Bass MP Bridget Archer is also putting pressure on federal Labor over funding for Tasmania, calling for continued funding of the wine tourism and cellar door grants, with uncertainty surrounding the program's future. For now, it's a waiting game, with the budget handed down on October 25. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Police are appealing for witnesses to come forward after a unit was shot at in Launceston late yesterday afternoon. It's unknown what kind of firearm was used in the attack on the unoccupied Chris Street property. Police say they believe it was an isolated incident, urging anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. Labor's Luke Edmonds says there's increasing evidence for an upper house inquiry into power prices. A report by the Institute of Energy Economics and Financial Analysis alleges Tasmanians have been overcharged for transmission costs by $232 million since 2014.
Clearly the government needs to explain why the Tasmanian households have been overcharged by $800.
TasNetworks and the independent regulator which sets the prices have dismissed the report, saying it uses a failed methodology. One of Tasmania's iconic food festivals has received a cash injection to help bolster its family-friendly offering. The Taste of Summer is being backed by the City of Hobart to deliver a community day which will see free entry into the event up until 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve.
We've got a new kids play area. It's on the Salamanca lawns under the trees. The Sands Family Circus will be performing with kids. They'll get to join in.
We're still a really important partner, and so one of the key things we can do is ensure that this is an accessible event to the community.
Locals are being urged to return in numbers as organisers look to build on last year's attendance. Tasmanian women will now have greater access to breast screening with the introduction of 4 new and refurbished machines installed at clinics in Launceston and Hobart.
There is a great increase in the capacity of breast screening that we'll be able to do. We'll be able to see an additional 2,000 appointments for women across northern Tasmania.
What they've added to the comfort of the clients that are coming to us, and also they're ergonomically designed to help with our placement of people and make it less anxiety causing.
The $700,000 state government investment will significantly boost capacity and accessibility to breast screening services while promoting awareness this Breast Cancer Month. A quadriplegic and a survivor of the 2002 Bali bombing have taken to Barnbougle to prove that golf is a sport for everyone. Their organisation empowering thousands of people living with disability to get out and have a swing.
This famously challenging course, no match for these keen golfers. Having a ball, both have defied the odds to tee off at Barnbougle. Doctors who told avid golfer James Gribble and double amputee Ben Tullipin they'd be unable to enjoy their favourite sport again, proven wrong.
Oh, look, we're here to prove that pretty much anywhere is accessible around Australia in the golf course. Obviously being someone who uses a wheelchair and a paragolfer like this to play golf, it's not always a given.
Bali bombing survivor Ben was standing just 5 metres from the explosion. Nearly 20 years on, the pair have bonded over their shared love of golf, also empowering other people living with disability to have a hit.
Meet some friends, have some fun. It's not all serious, it's just good fun and being part of the community.
Their organisation making it possible for thousands to play, running clinics and providing equipment and expertise across the country.
It's just good to get out there and get in amongst different people, and everybody's got their own little differences, whether you're fully able or not.
While golf has been at times portrayed as a stuffy or exclusive sport, James and Ben say the game's unique handicap system allows for players of all abilities to tee off together, making it an excellent sport for those living with disability.
Anyone can get out and play anywhere.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
construction companies are being urged to take care of their employees' well-being ahead of Mental Health Week. Builder Hansen Juncken is offering staff a mental health first aid training course.
We've found that there's been quite a take-up of interest in this particular course. In our business of 56 people, 24 people have now undertaken that course.
There's more that we can all do to support the mental health of our employees and also of the community.
A recent industry study revealed 1/5 of workers in the sector reported suffering a mental health condition. Quilters have descended on Hobart's Mac 2 for an annual fabric festival. Stitching enthusiasts say Craft Alive is an opportunity like no other in Tasmania, providing a chance to learn and be inspired.
In the fabric of time, there's one event that quilters look forward to most. Craft Alive.
Everything craft, from needlework, paper craft, beading and lots more. An annual celebration.
Crafters coming together for classes, displays and more. But here, it's the quilting that's the star of the show.
It's lovely. In Hobart we don't have very many quilting resources, so it's nice when they come from the mainland to help us out.
To learn. I think there's a lot here that I haven't seen before, and just lovely things to look at and get inspired with.
The Guild says quilting is a young person's game too, with the artistic fire being lit early for some.
I like to draw animals.
It becomes something of a passion, I suppose, and everybody just, everything revolves around it.
At the back of the event lies an extraordinary exhibition, the Tasmanian Quilters Guild show. These masterpieces were painstakingly stitched together, sometimes over the course of a year. Pip Sholton spent 18 months on this best-in-show quilt, initially starting during COVID lockdown.
It's a pattern that I bought a long time ago, so it is made using fabric I had, because of course we couldn't go out and buy anything, so that was good. Use the stash.
And the key to a good quilt?
Keep practicing, and if you love something, you'll do it well. So I got home last night and told my husband, who's been very sick, and he said, "I'm very proud of you, Vivi," he said. So that was nice.
The event continues at Mac 2 until Sunday. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Jack Jumpers are locked in a tough battle with the Breakers as they chase their first win of the NBL season. They found themselves down by 10 early in the first quarter, but some sharp shooting from the outside helped them keep pace with New Zealand.
McGett lifting, and that is good.
The Jack Jumpers hitting 4 first quarter threes. NZ pulled away again though at half-time. The Jack Jumpers were down by 9. Tim Payne took 3 catches, but Tasmania had a rough day in the field as Queensland took control of their Sheffield Shield clash in Brisbane. Resuming on 1 for 70, the Bulls passed the Tigers' first innings total before lunch, building a solid lead. Marnus Labuschagne giving spectators a taste of what's to come this summer, dominating Tasmania's bowlers on his way to a century.
Straight down the wicket, use his feet to hit him for 6. Oh, just hit it through mid-wicket.
And the crowd go up. He's going to come back for a second. And there's his 100 up.
The test number 3 was eventually dismissed for 127. At stumps, Queensland were 4 for 354, giving them a lead of 207 runs. Cameron Worth says a hectic training schedule split between triathlon and professional cycling is making him a better athlete. The Tasmanian will face some of the world's toughest triathletes at this weekend as the Ironman World Championship returns to Hawaii.
It's a sport where you do a huge amount of training and then you obviously just let it all out on one day. So, I'm not good at the whole taper process, but I know it's necessary to have the best performance on the weekend.
He'll be lining up with 6 other Aussies to take on the 3.8 kilometre swim, 180 kilometre ride and a marathon. And with Tasmania's Sheffield Shield season now underway, tonight's Friday flashback is rewinding to when the state first joined the competition in 1977. After spending decades in the wilderness, a star recruit from England by the name of Jack Simmons helped convince cricket bosses that Tasmania deserved to be in the Shield.
As the poor cousin of Australian cricket's family, Tasmania once served simply as a training ground for touring international teams.
He's out, caught, beautifully caught.
and the West Indies have lost their first wicket.
A situation causing great frustration with our recruit from Lancashire, Jack Simmons.
Well, unfortunately, Jack, our first-class cricket season now has virtually finished. We've still probably 6 to 7 weeks of a cricket season to go. Something's got to be done about this.
Oh yeah, this is the reason why we have to get in Shield cricket.
But in 1977, thanks in part to Simmons' persuasion, Tasmania was admitted to the Sheffield Shield 85 years after the competition began. Our cameras caught the day players excitedly arrived at the airport ahead of their groundbreaking first match against Western Australia at the Wacker. Administrators warned of strict discipline on the trip.
All our players are required to attend all official functions in their state uniform.
But it took more than a year for Tasmania to taste success. After a winless first season, Tasmania found the right formula against WA in Devonport 15 months after the state's debut.
Woolley, that
With local kids helping return the ball, Tasmania had to chase down a mammoth second innings target of 357 runs. Roger Woolley and Jack Simmons worked tirelessly at the crease, chipping away at the deficit and building anticipation.
The kids are getting down for the stampede.
A stampede which Simmons unleashed.
And that could be the winning runs as it races down towards the boundary, and Tasmania achieved their first ever win in Sheffield Shield as Jack Simmons scores a 4.
Tasmanian cricket's adopted hero was mobbed by young fans as he made a mad dash for the spoils of success.
As Jack Simmons races off the ground, and well he might, he's off to the bottle of champagne.
Devonport had witnessed history. Tasmanian cricket had come of age as Jack's giant killers. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. 22 was the state's top in Hobart today. Launceston 19 and Burnie and Devonport both reached 16. 21 at Friendly Beaches, Grove and Bushy Park, Flinders Island 19, 15 at Strawn and Lyawini 13. Low and middle level cloud is covering the state today, while there are areas of cloud extending over eastern Australia to Tasmania and waters to the east and south, and a frontal cloud band can be seen to the west of Tasmania swirling into a low. Tomorrow, a trough can be seen to the south of Tasmania, while a series of troughs also lie over northern Australia, with another extending to a front over New South Wales. West to northwesterly winds of 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots about the north, west and south during the morning. And there's a strong wind warning for most coastal forecast areas tomorrow. There's a moderate flood warning for the South Esk River, a minor warning for the Meander and Mersey rivers, and a flood watch for the rest of the northwest, north and north parts of the state. A shower or two in Hobart tomorrow, Maydena 11 and partly cloudy, and 12 in Oatlands. An afternoon shower or two in Launceston, Devonport 14, and a snow shower or two in Lyawini. A shower or two in Burnie and 13, and showers in Strawn and Marrawa. St Helens mostly sunny, a possible shower developing in Swansea and a top of 15 for Orford. And the UV remains at a high 6. Light showers about the west and far south on Sunday, with snowfalls around 700 metres in the morning, fine elsewhere. Monday, showers about the west and far south, mainly fine elsewhere. And fine on Tuesday until light showers develop in the northwest and extend to the northeast in the evening. Across the country tomorrow, 31 in Cairns, rain increasing in Canberra and Sydney, Melbourne 15 and a top of 33 in Darwin. And look at me, Kimmy, these are your current temps. Cloudy in Hobart 14, mostly cloudy in Launceston 14 and also partly cloudy in Devonport and 13. And that's all from your second best friend tonight, Kimmy.
Dear Kath and Kim, tragic. See you, Victoria. That is all we have time for tonight. Have a great weekend. For now, it's good night.